You are exhausted, aren't you? Tired of the constant pushing, the relentless grinding, the endless battle against time, expectations, and yourself. Right now, as you watch this, there is a silent weariness eating away at your soul, a bone-deep fatigue that comes from trying to control everything in your life. You pressure yourself constantly to be more productive, stronger, more positive, more stable. You force decisions, maintain relationships that drain you, follow routines that no longer serve you. And the more you try, the more everything slips through your fingers, like water, like sand, like life itself. Here is the devastating truth that will shatter everything you believe about success. The harder you fight against life, the further you drift from everything you actually want. What if I told you there is an ancient principle that could end this exhausting battle forever? A way of living that doesn't require constant struggle, yet paradoxically leads to everything you've been desperately trying to achieve through force. The invisible prison you've built around yourself. Let me paint you a picture that will make your blood run cold. Since the moment you could walk, you've been programmed with a lie so fundamental that questioning it feels like blasphemy. You've been told that success comes from effort, insistence, persistence, even when every fiber of your being screams to stop. This programming has created an invisible prison within you. A prison of constant tension, fear disguised as ambition, anxiety painted with the colors of determination. You've become a stranger within your own existence, running all the time without knowing where you are going. Think about your daily life for a moment. How many times do you try to force what isn't ready? How many decisions have you made out of fear? Fear of losing something, fear of appearing weak, fear of not doing enough. How many nights have you lain awake, mentally battling problems that may never even materialize? The cruel irony is this: you've been trained to live against the current of life itself. We live in a culture that venerates excess productivity, excess information, excess goals. Life becomes an endless project to be managed, optimized, maximized. Every moment of calm is viewed with suspicion, as if rest were a threat to be corrected. But here is what nobody tells you. This relentless pursuit of control is what is keeping you from everything you want. You are like someone trying to capture the fragrance of a flower by sealing it in an airtight vault. You preserve the form but lose the essence, the ancient wisdom that changes everything. Deep in the mountains of ancient China, Taoist masters discovered something that would revolutionize how we understand human potential. They called it Wu Wei, often translated as non-action or effortless action. But don't mistake this for passivity or weakness. Wu Wei is one of the deepest expressions of wisdom and courage. It is the ability to act in harmony with the natural flow of things, to move with life rather than against it. Think of a dancer who doesn't struggle with the music but feels the rhythm and lets themselves be guided. Like a surfer who doesn't try to dominate the sea but learns to flow with the wave. The Tao, meaning the way, describes the invisible flow that moves all things. The growth of trees, the dance of seasons, birth and death, joy and sorrow. All following a natural intelligence that exists beyond our limited understanding. Lao Tzu, the Taoist master who first described the Tao, said something profound. The Tao that can be spoken is not the true Tao. Why? Because every time we try to capture life with words, life has already moved beyond them. The Tao is like wind, you can feel it. You can let it carry you, but you can never put it in a box. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Your ego doesn't want to hear. You are not in control. You never were. And your attempt to control life is exactly what distances you from it. The man who opened ancient doors to the modern world. In the 1960s, when Eastern concepts like Tao, Zen, and meditation were viewed as exotic curiosities, one man emerged as a bridge between worlds. Alan Watts wasn't just an academic, he was an alchemist of ideas, someone capable of translating not only the words but the soul of these ancestral traditions. Watts understood that the greatest obstacle to understanding Wu Wei wasn't cultural distance. It was fear. The fear that our rational mind has of losing control, of relinquishing the illusion of absolute dominion over life. He didn't seek to indoctrinate anyone. He wanted to liberate, to free people from the weight of dogmas, the tyranny of goals, the obsession with results. His mission was to reveal that what we desperately seek, peace, fulfillment, meaning, isn't found in the heroic effort to control the world, but in the silent courage to allow the world to be as it is. Watts used a powerful metaphor that cuts straight to the heart of human suffering. He said life is like music. The goal isn't to reach the end of the song as quickly as possible, it is to dance with it, to feel each note, each beat, without haste, without anxiety. That is exactly what we've forgotten. Life isn't a race, it is a dance. And Wu Wei is the music that has always been playing, but most of us have never learned to hear. The river that reveals everything. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a vast, powerful river flowing with ancient force. Now picture a person submerged in this river, desperately trying to swim against the current. Every movement is struggle, every attempt to move forward is thwarted. The body grows tired, muscles stiffen, the mind panics. The harder they fight, the further they drift from any possibility of peace. This image perfectly captures human suffering. The river metaphor isn't just beautiful, it is brutally accurate. It reveals that the suffering we experience is rarely caused by circumstances themselves. Almost always suffering arises from our resistance to what is. You lose a job, a relationship ends, a plan goes awry. Instead of accepting reality and seeking to flow with it, you cling to what is already gone. You despair as you try to hold on to what inevitably slips away, like someone trying to hold water in their hands. Watts explained that life, like the river, has its own rhythm, its own intelligence. You don't need to push life. You don't need to control it, you just need to learn to trust its flow. This doesn't mean passively accepting everything. It means acting in harmony with forces beyond your control, just as a surfer learns to read waves not to dominate them, but to dance with them. When you fight against reality, you create tension. This tension accumulates in your body, mind, and spirit. You live in a constant state of war against life, against others, against yourself. The result is predictable: chronic anxiety, frustration, resentment, and a crushing sense of helplessness. The cruelest part? On some level, you know you are sinking, but the fear of letting go of control is even greater than the fear of continuing to suffer. The river metaphor carries within it a silent promise. There is another way to live, a way that doesn't require constant struggle. When you stop resisting, you discover that the river of life isn't your enemy. It is your ally, taking you to places your mind could never plan. The hidden cost of control. You've been conditioned to believe that everything you want requires relentless effort, extreme sacrifice, absolute control. Since childhood, you've heard phrases like, "Don't give up, those who want it make it happen. The world belongs to the strong." But this belief system has created something sinister: a neurotic civilization, where people run constantly without knowing where they're going, where doing has become more important than being, where every moment of calm is viewed with suspicion. Have you ever felt that sensation of doing everything, right, studying, working, producing, yet carrying an unbearable emptiness, as if something essential were missing? That something is your connection to the natural flow of life, to the Tao that cannot be forced, only lived. The mind conditioned by control doesn't accept this reality. It fears the unforeseen, the unexpected, the unknown. It wants guarantees. So it builds suffocating routines, rigid goals, strategies that try to eliminate all uncertainty. Yet uncertainty is an essential part of life. Mystery is part of the beauty of being alive. By trying to eliminate the unexpected, we also eliminate the magic, the surprise, the true spontaneity that makes life worth living. Alan Watts warned, "The more we try to control life, the more we separate ourselves from it. It is like trying to capture the fragrance of a flower by closing it in an airtight vault. You preserve the form but lose the essence. The result is an artificial, mechanical, weary existence where everything needs to be managed like a factory, including your emotions, relationships, and dreams." The art of conscious non-resistance. So how do you apply Wu Wei in a world that demands constant hustle? How do you act in harmony with life's flow while being bombarded by endless demands, goals, notifications, and expectations? The answer requires courage, and above all, a profound shift in perspective about what it means to act intelligently. Applying Wu Wei isn't about abandoning responsibilities or isolating yourself on a mountain. That is the mistake many make, confusing non-effort with apathy or negligence. Wu Wei is about acting, yes, but from a completely different place, a place of awareness, attention, and attunement with what is real and possible in each moment. In practice, Wu Wei begins with a gesture of humility, recognizing that you don't govern the universe, that there are forces greater than you at work, and that your true power lies not in fighting against them, but in learning to listen, feel, and dance with them. This requires slowing down, breathing, observing before reacting, stopping the impulse to act from fear of falling behind, and starting to act in alignment with what truly matters. In daily life, Wu Wei is choosing quality over quantity, preferring depth over haste, knowing that sometimes the best action is the pause. It is having the courage to say no to activities, commitments, and obligations that exist only to feed an ego hungry for validation. Wu Wei is silencing the external noise to hear the internal whisper, the one that has always been there guiding you, but that you never had time or courage to listen to. Wu Wei also manifests as trusting life's natural cycles. There are moments for action and moments for waiting, moments for blooming and moments for retreat. But our culture, obsessed with uninterrupted growth, makes us believe that stopping is failing. Alan Watts reminds us that even winter has its essential role in nature's cycle. Sometimes the greatest progress you can make is simply allowing yourself to be where you are without trying to rush the next chapter. Living Wu Wei as conscious rebellion. Practicing Wu Wei in the modern world is an act of conscious rebellion. It is swimming against the current of collective anxiety, not to outdo others, but to not lose yourself. It is reversing the logic of scarcity that whispers you are never enough, never have enough time, never do enough. Instead, you reconnect with the logic of natural abundance, understanding that being, simply being, is already complete. But living this way requires vigilance. The old programming of control, haste, and excess will try to pull you back constantly. It will whisper that you are falling behind, that you need to do more, achieve more, prove more. In those moments, you have a real opportunity to choose. Repeat the pattern of resistance, or trust the flow of the Tao. This choice is the beginning of radical transformation. When you finally let go, there comes a moment when you must make a fundamental choice. Either keep forcing, struggling, insisting on swimming against the current until your body and soul are exhausted, or finally decide to let go, understanding that life isn't a battle to be won, but a mystery to be lived. Alan Watts said the paradox of true transformation is that it happens not when you force changes, but when you stop resisting what is already trying to emerge within you. When you stop forcing, you create space. Space for life to surprise you. Space for opportunities you could never have planned. Space to reconnect with your intuition, your body, the silent flow of the Tao that has always been guiding you. True freedom isn't doing whatever you want at any moment. True freedom is being so deeply aligned with life that your actions become natural extensions of what reality demands. It is acting without anxiety, creating without pressure, loving without fear. It is ceasing to be a desperate manager of your own existence and becoming a conscious participant in the infinite dance of life. The transformation begins now. What is the area of your life where you are forcing the most right now? Where do you feel like you are swimming against the river, struggling against something that perhaps just needs to be accepted, understood, or simply allowed to flow? Sometimes just recognizing the struggle is already a giant step toward freedom. The ancient masters knew something we've forgotten in our modern rush. The deepest power comes not from forcing outcomes, but from aligning with the intelligence that moves through all things. Wu Wei isn't weakness, it is the ultimate strength. It is not giving up, it is giving in to something infinitely greater than your limited perspective. Here is your invitation to freedom. Stop fighting the river. Learn to read its currents. Discover that when you move with life instead of against it, you don't lose control. You find a deeper kind of mastery altogether. The transformation you seek has already begun. The moment you truly understand Wu Wei, everything changes. Not because you've forced change, but because you finally stopped preventing what was always trying to emerge. The river has been waiting for you to stop fighting. The dance has been waiting for you to hear the music. Your authentic life has been waiting for you to get out of your own way. The time is now. The choice is yours. Will you continue the exhausting battle against life, or will you finally surrender to the magnificent flow that has been carrying you all along? The ancient secret is no longer secret. Wu Wei is calling. The only question is, are you ready to answer?